Good evening. This is the Academy Awards for the Delta. And I'm Mike Campbell. I'm a lifetime resident of Clarksburg, and I'm the president of the Delta Regional Foundation. Yay! You might want to save your applause to the end. This is the Field of Dreams. Look out through the doors here. This is the Delta Field of Dreams tonight. I want to tell you why I'm here. I love the Delta. It's mi cielo, my heaven. I'm very blessed to have been adopted and brought to Clarksburg right out of the hospital in San Francisco. And I inherited my family, agriculture, my community, and the Delta. And all this is payback. Tonight, we get to honor five individuals and organizations that have contributed so much to the Delta, to the strength of the Delta. The Delta Regional Foundation, and I'm going to thank a lot of people tonight. The first is Monty Van Camp Condos, who started the Delta Regional Foundation. And the idea was to promote the Delta to outsiders. And the example was Lake Tahoe. Her example. Who doesn't love Lake Tahoe? Because we've seen Lake Tahoe. We know how beautiful it is, and we all want to save the lake. People can drive 2 miles from the Delta and never know that it's there. So we have a job, we have a public relations job to introduce the Delta to the rest of California, to decision makers, to people that might want to damage the Delta. When Monty started in 2015 and created the foundation, had an art show, raised money, and most of that money went to start the regional foundation. All of it went to start the regional foundation, and most of it went to create the Delta Leadership Program. Yay! Eric Vink. Yeah, let's give Monty a big hand, please. Eric Vink, who just retired as the executive director of the Delta Protection Commission, was a partner with Monty on this. So was Nicole Burke, yes, who couldn't be here tonight. Eric had the idea to develop a California Agricultural Leadership Program for the Delta, which became the Delta Leadership Program. And with the help of Monty and the funding and the Delta Protection Commission developed that program. There's now been 5 classes. I'm going to introduce a number of the graduates that are with us tonight. But it's a huge success story. And Eric, please, I want you to stand up, please. Yay! It was also, Eric, we were talking about what else can we do. We have the leadership program, what else can we do? And Eric said, why don't we honor leaders from the Delta? When I was growing up, the Delta was probably the Freeport Bridge to the Walnut Grove Bridge. It was big for me, but it was a small area. And it hasn't been, except for the past probably 6 years working with Eric, working with Campbell Ingram, that I really learned about the Delta. I came to respect and understand the Delta. It's not just Clarksburg. It's just not the North Delta. It's the whole Delta. And we are all in this together, and the idea is to pick leaders from around the Delta to tell their stories, to develop an understanding and appreciation of what other people are doing for the Delta, to strengthen the Delta. We have some more thank yous. F&M Bank, Mickey F&M Bank has been a major supporter of the Delta Regional Foundation, the Delta Leadership Foundation, and tonight they're the major sponsor of this dinner. So I'd like Mickey and John Hospenthal to please stand and be recognized. Keep up the good work, fellas. We've introduced Monty, but these beautiful prints, Gregory Kondo's prints, when we started talking about this dinner, and we actually started in 2019, and it was going to be in 2020. The dinner was going to be in 2020. And we all know what happened to 2020 and 2021. Monty said, I'll do one of Gregory's prints of the Delta, and I'll frame them. So Monty is also a major sponsor of tonight's event. And our idea was this recognition would be so wonderful that people would take it home, display it in their home or in their office, and tell the story about their contributions to the Delta. Acoustic events. Jeremy White is in the back. Raise your hand, please, Jeremy. Jeremy's the owner of Acoustic Events, which is headquartered in Clarksburg and does events all around Northern California. He and his team put together our dinner tonight and managed the bar. Thank you very much, Jeremy. And Natalie Perez, I think she's hiding. She said, I don't want to be introduced, Mike. Come out, Natalie. If you want to have an event here, Natalie is the person to talk with. This is a great venue. She was very generous, very helpful in making this a wonderful event for us tonight. We have some guests that manage Delta agencies. Bruce Blodgett is here, the new Executive Director of the Delta Protection Commission. Campbell Ingram, the Executive Director of the Sacramento San Joaquin Delta Conservancy. Virginia Maduena, who's the chairwoman of the Delta Stewardship Council. Virginia. Here is another champion of the Delta, Don Natoli. Please stand. Sacramento County Supervisor and about to retire. And Don, on behalf of all of us, you are irreplaceable. All the way from Delhi, California, Randy Fiorini, the past chairman. Randy is the past chairman of the Delta Stewardship Council. And then for me, three personal defenders of the Delta, Melinda Terry, Stan Eddy, the official, unofficial mayor of Courtland. And Russell Van Lobensells. Yes. All right, we talked about the Delta Leadership Program. I'd like to introduce the graduates that are with us tonight. Matt Hemley, please stand. Virginia Hemley. Douglas Shaw. The Mayor of Locke. Morris Lum. The photographer tonight, Brett Peretti, Jeremy White, and John Hospenthal. Now it's my honor to introduce our first champion tonight.
So, starting with the strategy goal. Are we capturing what you folks think these public landowners ought to be striving for as they think about their public lands plans? So, starting with the strategy goal. Are we capturing what you folks think these public landowners ought to be striving for as they think about their public lands plans?
Are you inviting discussion and input at this point?
Yes.
I'm a little hard of hearing.
Okay, sorry. Do I
Yes,
guess?
may I?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And I'd like to turn around so I can face the group.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Give me one of those, would you? It is not my intention to be the skunk at this particular party, but it may turn out that way. But I'd like to present to the Delta Conservancy, and I think we have copies for virtually everyone in the room, is something that I find notably missing in this and prior presentations. And that is arithmetic. Arithmetic. I have a point of view that arithmetic is not an opinion. Words are eloquent. These are eloquent words that have been put up on the board, and admirable objectives. Parenthetically, I put up a slide of priorities earlier in the presentation. Would it be possible to put that back up? Sure.
Yeah. Here for discussion.
And zero in there. Yeah. Let's look at that. My goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet points. At least 5 of which I completely agree with in terms of priorities. The question, of course, is how to get there. Now, and what they cost. And what is the most effective use of public funds. Now, if one takes the point of view that state grants are free, then the cost-benefit analysis is not difficult to do justifications of expending those funds. But we live in a time of increasing demands on the public purse, notwithstanding that we currently have a surplus at the state level. So I'm an environmentalist, as I'm sure many in the room are. My point of view, though, is that one ought to analyze there is no alternative but to fund with public funds, or public grants, or state grants, and what can be done from the private sector. Now, this thing that I'm going to share with everyone in the office is a letter to the Delta Conservancy Board of Directors, which, of course, we will deliver. And what it consists of is accountability and comparing the words with the past, what the words were in the past, and what the results were. At the end of the day, accountability is about measuring results, comparing the goals and the results. Now, some of you may know that our foundation has endeavored to rescue Staten Island from 18 years of mismanagement. 18 years of mismanagement. And the dialogue has gone on with a number of state agencies for about 18 months. For whatever reason, the state agencies that we have interacted with have chosen or endeavoring to choose a different route. Early on, you appropriately asked that we be respectful of one another and a different point of view, and I certainly think that's an appropriate tenor for meetings such as this, and I'm endeavoring to do so. However, what we've assembled here is evidence, facts, measuring and comparing what has been done with what was promised. And so we can't really at this stage, but we may in the future, be able to measure the incredible amounts of funds that were, for want of a better term, wasted. Objectives that were not at all reached, and in fact, are counter to what I understand the mission of the Delta Conservancy is. Now, what this demonstrates is measures the results on two different kinds of programs that were in part funded by the Delta Conservancy, in part, but not totally, with respect to Twitchell Island. And two major Department of Water Resources projects on Twitchell Island. And one is wetlands, which I hear so much about, which sounds so good. And there's something that probably most people in the office have not seen, which is photographs taken from a helicopter of what actually is on the ground. Now, photographs are like arithmetic. They don't lie. They're not subject to flowery language and noble goals. Let's take a look. Protecting and enhancing desired ecological functions is wonderful. I'm in favor of it. I suspect everyone in the room is. Stopping and reversing subsidence on deeply subsided lands. I figured that out 26 years ago, folks. 26 years ago. And the answer, and there's only one answer that makes economic sense, is rice. And so we pioneered rice in the Delta. And we stopped subsidence on our lands. By the way, if I may, the pale blue is Staten Island. Immediately east of Staten Island is Brack Tract. If you would, put the red light on Brack Tract. Up, that's Brack Tract. See those green things there? Those green things are a 750-acre wetland that we built with our own money and without one penny of state grants, which were offered. Did you go to Canal Ranch, which is right above that? Right there. Now, between those two tracts of land, we farm, not Wetland Preservation Foundation, but our family interest farms 5,000 acres. You spoke of scale. Scale. The Department of Water Resources on Twitchell Island has 2,000 acres, roughly half and half between a wetland, which, as you will see, is rife with problems that threaten the Delta. as defined by another state agency, the Department of Fish and Wildlife, who have publicly alerted all Delta landowners and Delta residents of the significant threat posed by nutria. In this booklet, I define, and this is not as a landowner for profit, but as the CEO of Wetland Preservation Foundation. Just so that we fly in the open and not under false colors. My wife and I put $15 million in the Wetland Preservation Foundation. The other half of the Department of Water Resources Twitchell Island project is growing rice. There are pictures, extensive pictures, taken this summer from a helicopter and from the ground of the Delta wetlands, the Department of Water Resources rice project on Twitchell Island. Now, let's take a look at that. You can look at the pictures when you get this in your hand. For 9 years, this is why I take issue with the words, because there's no measurement of accountability. You're talking about doing more deals with a totally incompetent agency. And the proof is here. 9 years of trying to grow rice. 9 consecutive years of trying to grow rice on Twitchell Island. And wait till you see the pictures of what they have. Not once in 9 years. Not once. Hi, Steve. How are you? Not once in 9 years have they grown a commercially successful rice crop. For 26 years, we have been growing on our farmlands successful rice, and you're going to see the comparison. It's in there. There's pictures taken from the same helo and on the ground at the same time. On the one hand, you have successful production and therefore dealing with reversing subsidence on deeply subsided islands. Exactly what we propose to do on Sept. Reducing flood risk, of course. The first flood fight I was in was at age 15. I'm 81. I can't count the number of times that I've been in the middle of a flood fight in Delta. I'm pleased to say that we never lost any of those. However, we got damn close, didn't we? Okay. So that's what I think defines a swamp rat. Of course we want to reduce flood risk. The question is how. The question is how. You're going to see in here that at the same time the DWR was spending hundreds of millions of dollars on the subsidence, on the subventions program at the very same time that they are following practices which threaten the adjacent islands with so-called natural wetlands. Demonstrate opportunities and strategies to increase agricultural sustainability. Excuse me, I should not have added that. The opportunities to increase agricultural sustainability as defined in rice on the Twitchell Island Rice Project boondoggle? I don't think so. As defined in 18 years of, in effect, degrading Staten Island from a once productive agricultural island to one that barely can grow corn. At the same time, during that 18 years, somewhere between 9 and 10 inches of field elevation left. At the same time that growing 7,000 to 8,000 acres of corn each year, 18,000, and you're very concerned about carbon, I know, Campbell. How often have I read that discharging 18,000 pounds of carbon into the atmosphere is a good thing? Try never. I spend a lot of time on the internet. That's what happens when you get older and retire. And I look at all that stuff. I've read your stuff. Nowhere do I see that. What I see is that the people that cause that to happen are part of this planning process. Other things I see is claims by the Department of Water Resources that wetlands on Twitchell Island, somewhere between 800 to 1,000 acres. What do you call it when you put carbon back in the ground? Help me. Thank you. Sequestration. Sequestration. 1/2 ton per acre per year. Well, let's do the math. 1/2 ton on 800 acres is 400 tons. 400 tons. And it's true that when you do wetlands, absolutely true, when you do wetlands, you stop subsidence. Dr. Devrel has demonstrated that for us for quite a number of years. And there's 2 ways to do that. You can do it with wetlands, or you can do it with rice. The difference between those two is to grow rice, you need a farmer. You need a farmer whose existence depends on growing a good crop. Not an agency whose cost of funds is 0. And therefore, failing to grow a crop doesn't cost anything. That's the difference between state agencies looking for those solutions with state agencies. Are not farmers. They have noble purposes. Noble purposes, but are not farmers. So, let's take a look at the difference. I note that your work papers that just came out indicate a desire to acquire more land. Of course, everyone in the room recognizes that when that happens, county taxes stop because state-owned lands do not pay county taxes, real estate taxes. Generally speaking, economic activity that employs people, the cities and areas such as this one, Walnut Grove, economic activity slows down or stops. Put them all together, and the merits of doing public-private joint ventures are infinitely superior. It's all in here. This is evidence that photographs don't lie. So I think I've used as much time as I'm entitled to. Thank you.
That was great. So I heard, I didn't hear which one of these you didn't support. I think you were...
I just said at least 5 of those I embrace.
Okay, good. I just wanted to see if there was one you didn't.
I agree with number 6. The water quality and water supply, I think, was one of those I think in Hollywood they would call it a throwaway line that no one will disagree with, but basically isn't going to occur, or isn't going to happen.
Hard to do, okay.
And demonstrate opportunities, I got to that.
Okay.
So basically, I agree with most of these priorities.
Right.
I vehemently disagree with how you propose.
How you get there, okay.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah, no, that's great. Because I
Thank
think,
you.
we want to talk more about.
And by the way,
how do you-
we will hand these out. I don't want to disrupt your meeting, but we will hand this out to every person in the room. We have 50 copies, and I don't think there's more than 50 people in the room. And I want to be sure to give you some for your board of directors.
Wayne, thank you.
I'd like to invite representative from the family up. Brady Whitlow, would you please come up? Brady is Dino Cortopassi's son-in-law and the president of San Tomo Group, and also Trevor Carlson. Please come up. Dino Cortopassi's son-in-law. Dino Cortopassi created a wonderful life for himself and his family with his vision, intelligence, determination, and hard work. Throughout his life, he was a risk taker. The last major risk was not a business decision, but it was an environmental decision. His vision was to create a showplace that would increase waterfowl production, reduce soil subsidence, and at the same time be farmed. The result was his creation, the Black Hole, a 750-acre award-winning environmental model which exemplifies Dino's passion for waterfowl, the environment, and sustainable agriculture. You may wonder where the name came from, the Black Hole. His dear friend, Fritz Groupie, was the first person to call Dino's investment the Black Hole. Dino was complaining to him about all the money that it was taking to create this preserve, and Fritz Groupie called it his Black Hole, and that's where it got its name. Tonight we honor Dino's vision with the Delta Preserver Award, and we're happy to have a number of Dino's friends, family here to share in this honor. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much. I want to acknowledge the fact that Dino is, in fact, here with us in spirit. I can feel him. I know you can, too. Tom Zuckerman, thank you for nominating Dino. He nominated Dino before his unfortunate passing this last February. So he would have been greatly honored. Thank you, Tom. And thank you for having us. On behalf of the family, I got to say I am not a Delta rat. I came to the family as a wasp, as Dino used to call me, the waspy white guy coming into the Italian family. And there was no question that he was passionate, as most Italians are, certainly my wife and the other family members here. And he was passionate about many things, certainly business, family, and not the least of which was the Delta. He imparted that passion to all of us and gave me that passion, taught me to hunt, taught me to love wildlife, flora and fauna at the Black Hole. The only thing he might have been more passionate about was his family, and not the least of which were his grandchildren, one of whom continues on the tradition by taking care of the Black Hole. He was mentored by Dino in the ways of the Delta. So I'd like to introduce Trevor Carlson, Dino's grandson, and he wants to share a few things about Dino as an environmentalist and conservationist.
Thank you, I appreciate it, I appreciate being here. I'm glad to speak on my Nono's behalf, and thanks to Mike and Brady for introducing me. Okay, thank you to the Delta Regional Foundation for acknowledging my greatest mentor, my hunting partner, my boss, but most importantly, my beloved Nono. The Delta Preserver Award is a truly befitting honor for him, and as a lifelong Delta hunter myself and a Delta farmer, I am glad to see this organization recognize so many other genuinely impactful champions of this unique place. The name of the award is befitting, and certainly I'm a bit biased, but Nono truly was a Delta preserver. In fact, the name of the 501c3 operating foundation that he founded with my Nona and the Cortopassi Family Foundation is called the Wetlands Preservation Foundation. Its main goal is to advance conservation and restoration of sustainable wetlands through sustainable agricultural practices. For those of you that knew him, you'll know that he was a bit of a contrarian, only when he needed to be. A leader who used plain English that even a simple farmer like myself could understand. He was a vocal advocate and colorful in his descriptions. My Catholic school education did little to prepare me for the way he was able to blend common swear words, contorting the phonetics of these four-letter words with such style and ease, it could almost be called Shakespearean. He spoke bluntly about the problems of the Delta and eloquently about the solutions. He pioneered rice in the Delta, an uphill fight against the conventional practices of most of the Delta farming community. Rice is the great equalizer for combating one of the greatest threats to the Delta, peat subsidence. Peat dirt is what makes this place so fertile and so unique. It took millennia for the semi-decomposed organic matter and soil carried down from the spring snow melt to coalesce into this rich soil profile that we have today that leads to such bountiful crops. Dino did everything in his power to reach farmers, environmentalists, and government agencies that the future of the Delta is rice. And I'm happy to say that we're making some progress. There's a lot more rice acres grown this year and last year and going forward. He also created the Black Hole Habitat, a 750-acre riparian wetland nestled in the northeastern portion of the Delta on Brack Track, just right over that way. It is a marshland that was fully designed, constructed, and financed by our new champion. He converted highly productive and flat commercial farm ground into a natural beauty of curvilinear lagoons, willow trees by the thousands, and broad swaths of nesting grounds to support all the critters of the Delta. In fact, in some ways, it replicates what this Delta looked like a couple hundred years ago, before we diked up the levees and started growing crops, when the regular tides and water flows would create natural ridges on which vegetation would grow, creating food and shelter. This place, this new project that he had started, this metaphorical black hole for time, energy, and yes, money, was not simply the physical embodiment of a successful agribusinessman's duck club fantasy. It was in fact a swamp rat's way of giving back. A lesson I will never forget, just one of the many I learned from my Nono, is that to be successful as a conservationist, or really in any facet of business, is to have a keen eye and a curious mind. Dino talked a lot about the rolling why. Why are the willows blooming out early this year? Why are these cattails out competing everything else? Why do the cranes prefer to go here rather than there? Why? It's an important thought process because nature is never in stasis. Nature is dynamic. And that is why the black hole will never be finished. It will continue to be changed in perpetuity. And that fact encompasses Dino's views on life and nature. Change is inevitable. Preservation isn't about preserving the status quo. Dino was a preserver of a mindset, a way of thinking. Dino was born in September of 37 and died in February of 22, and he spent the majority of those years thinking and implementing. questioning conventional wisdom, because that is the most effective way to learn. He taught me and so many others about true environmentalism, about wildlife-friendly farming. He was a great and generous teacher to anyone willing to listen and learn about the complexities of Mother Nature. I am so thankful to have witnessed that. If there is one thing that everyone should take away from the presentation of this award, it is that Dino was a great teacher simply because he was an even greater student. That is how we can preserve the Delta, by watching and by listening, by preserving our critical thought processes. And when we know a solution is right and true in our hearts, find a way to communicate it clearly so that even a simple farmer, like myself, can understand. And make sure to throw in a couple of goddammits and maybe a dirty son of a bitch just to help emphasize the point. That is something that every Delta lover in this audience and every Delta lover everywhere can understand. Congratulations to Dino and the rest of the champions. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.
Dino would be very proud. I want to introduce our board. I should have done that as the very first thing. And this is a board that's been together and working very hard on the Delta Leadership Program, promoting the Delta, but also this dinner. Kathy Himley, Monty Condos, Vink, Barbara Arnold, Stacy Hamilton, and as I said, Nicole couldn't be with us tonight. Let's give them a big round of applause. And now here's Eric to present the next Champions Award.
Great, thank you. I'm secretary of this board. I'm really pleased to be a part of the Delta Regional Foundation and to be a part of this dinner tonight, and such a lovely evening. I'm here to present an award for Delta Promoter, and when we came up with this category of Delta Promoter, in my mind there was really one clear, incredibly deserving awardee. But I really want to thank Gene Bealey over here, who submitted the nomination for Bill Wells as Delta Promoter, so that I didn't have to. And what Gene said in his nomination is that Bill Wells, our awardee as Delta Promoter, is the true voice of the Delta and champions all of the Delta concerns, but especially those related to recreation and tourism. For those of you who don't know Bill, he's the executive director of the California Delta Chambers and Visitors Bureau. He's been in that position for more than 20 years. In that work, he's tireless in promoting all that is wonderful, everything that we appreciate, everything that we love about this region. He promotes that to a broader audience, whether it's through the Chamber's website or whether it's through those numerous phone calls he receives with people asking for recommendations or people asking questions about the Delta. Bill's always there to be promoting the region. He's also involved throughout the Delta community. He's a board member of Save the California Delta Alliance, of Delta Legacy Communities, and of Discover the Delta Foundation, and probably a few more as well. And some of you know him for the column that he writes in Bay Delta Yachtsman. It really is required reading to keep a good finger on what is happening not only in the recreation and tourism sector of the Delta, but throughout the Delta region as well. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Bill's right hand in all of his work, who is Sue Wells. And they're, yeah. They're a team as far as I'm concerned. Congratulations to, and I would like to welcome forward Bill Wells to receive this recognition as Delta Promoter.
Thank you, Eric. Words? Oh, yeah, I would. Thank you. Mike said I only had a half an hour, so I'll cut down what I was going to say.
Take your time, Bill.
Okay, thanks. Anyway, thank you very much. I'm glad Eric mentioned Sue. Honest to God, she's the brains of the outfit and keeps me straight. I get up in the morning, I don't know what I'm going to do during the day, but she tells me, oh yeah, you got these appointments. So anyway, she's really does the yeoman's job. But I'm honored to receive the award. I met Moni and Gregory Condos at one of the water meetings either 10 or 15 years ago, and what a charming couple they were back then. And Moni is an absolute charming person. Anyway, I'm here. I'm going to accept the award as a part of a team of people working to better the Delta. I accept on behalf of the Delta Chambers and Bay and Delta Yachtsman magazine. The Delta Chambers have been a nonprofit corporation in California since 1969. We've been involved in many promotional activities over the years, operating in a budget of next to nothing. We've published Delta guidebooks for over 30 years. We've been involved in producing quality Delta maps, boating maps for going on 50 years now. We put on art shows, wine tasting events, masked balls. 2 years ago, we put on a yacht rendezvous in Stockton to honor Dick Stevens of the Stevens Corporation. It was his 100th birthday. We literally brought in people from all over the United States, and we had a whole collection of Stevens yachts, so it was just wonderful. Dick was probably the most pleasing thing that he'd ever been in his life, I think. He unfortunately died not long after that, but I'm glad we got to do that for him. The event culminated in a parade into downtown Stockton, past Five Star Marina, which was the old Stevens factory. We had Dick loaded up on the bow of one of Rusty Arias's yachts. So it was absolutely great. We just finished our 19th annual Taste of the Delta down in Stockton at Village West Marina. We had 18 restaurants and 15 wineries from around the Delta, from everywhere, from Bogle, Carvalho, everybody up in this area, and also down Wybell, Fred Wybell's winery down in Lodi. Hugely popular. People wanted to get out after being cooped up for 2 years. We had nothing but positive feedback. I'd like to take a minute and recognize just some of the folks I work with that actually work to better the Delta. Number one, thank you, Eric, for mentioning my wife, Sue, and she literally is the brains of the outfit, keeps track of everything I forget. Delta Chambers President Fred Wybell and his lovely wife, Ida, right back there. Maybe Fred, raise your hand. Fred's not only involved in the chamber, but he was Stocktonian of the Year just a few years ago, and he spends every free moment involved in community service. So what a wonderful man. I won't even go into all the things they do, but he's got an airplane and he transports people and dogs around. All on his own dime, by the way. David Brenninger and Linda, if you guys could raise your hand. Dave's a board member with the Delta Chamber, and he got me involved in the water situation, I guess 15 years ago. Invited me to a meeting, and when I was there, the people were so unbelievably condescending that I knew that there was something crooked going on. That's when I decided I was going to make sure that they never build any tunnels. Linda, both Dave and Linda are involved in many civic organizations, and especially in the yachting community. So there are other people who are so busy, I don't see how they have any free time, but once in a while they do take a vacation. Gene Bealey and his lovely wife, Jill. Gene's the Delta videographer. He used to own a newspaper, and since he retired, he goes around videotaping public meetings and making sure that nobody tries to drop in any lies later on. So he keeps things honest around here. He does a fantastic job. Morris Lum, who's been introduced earlier, is also a Delta Chamber member. Where are you, Morris? But anyway, he's also tireless. He goes to every yacht club. In the morning he'll be down in Pittsburgh, and in the afternoon he'll be up in Tahoe. I don't know how he does it, but he takes pictures by the hundreds. Ty Malott out there, and his lovely wife Becky. Ty? No. Anyway. Ty's the publisher of of Bay and Delta Yachtsman magazine. 15 years ago, they asked me to come in and fill in for somebody for 2 months, and then they wouldn't let me quit. But anyway, Ty gives me a lot of free range to cover what I want. So, naturally I cover the boating articles, but I'm also interested in the political stuff too. The magazine's been in existence since 1965. It's got a loyal readership, and it'll be around for another 60 years, I'm confident. So it's literally probably one of the most popular magazines in the region. Jackie Philpott, my colleague that recently started, Jackie, raise your hand, please. So anyway, she covers the Bay in the magazine. She's a renowned sailor and comes to the Delta once in a while to write stuff too. She recently published a book, What I Saw Sailing in the California Delta. It's a really good treatise on how to travel around in the Delta. You may remember Hal Shell, who passed away about 10 years ago. He was not only in the Delta Chamber, but he was editor for Bay and Delta Yachtsman magazine. But Hal wrote 3 fantastic books about the Delta, and he also published the Hal Shell Delta map, so that actually brought a lot of interest in the Delta. The books have been out of print for 20 years, but you can still buy them on auction sites for probably $100 or so, but they actually wrote 4 books, but anyway, what a great treasure. But anyway, we're looking for Jackie to fill in for Hal's spot now. Daniel Whitty out here. Daniel, where are you? Right here. Oh, very good, okay. Daniel's the big editor of the Sky for the magazine. He's an avid boater, and if you ever go to Bethel Island on New Year's Day, he participates in the frozen bun run contest, where you're out there. I mean, imagine going water skiing on New Year's Day. So anyway, I write my article, I send it to Daniel, he makes, actually I give it to Sue first, she makes all my corrections, and then we send it to Daniel, and then he further corrects it into like something readable that people might like. So, but also, last but not least, I want to introduce my daughter Kim and her friend Oscar Watson. And my beloved granddaughter Daisy, she just graduated from UC Berkeley, just got back from Europe, so she's going to have a big career ahead of her. She majored in sustainable environmental design, so I look at her as a new generation of people taking over. So anyway, Eric, thank you very much again. Thanks for the time. I also want to recognize Don Natoli. I think I've known him for 20 years. And it used to be everywhere I'd go in the Delta, I'd see him or he'd see me, and we were always at the same events. So I haven't seen you for quite a while lately, but anyway, it's an honor to have known you, and good luck in your retirement. I just want to thank Moni again. It's an absolute pleasure. When I first met you, I thought you were the most charming person, one that I ever met, and you still are. So thank you very much.
Let me now introduce Kathy Himley to present the next award.
Barbara, would you come up and join me, please? This is so exciting for me to be able to present this award, the Delta Improver Award, to Barbara Barrigan-Parrilla. Also, Restore the Delta. Barbara and Restore the Delta started in about 2006 and grew up together. Over the years, Restore the Delta has become the umbrella organization for all things policy-wise, all things water, fowl, fish, national heritage areas, EIR, EIS, not just the tunnels, but this woman has a formidable knowledge of California's water issues and the Delta in particular. Her staff now, because she didn't used to have a staff, this was the staff, is taking over her reins slowly, and not so competently, I'm sure. But well-deserved award, and I'm very, very proud to be able to give it to Restore the Delta and Barbara in particular. Thank you.
I want to thank Mike Campbell and the Delta Regional Foundation for this honor. Congratulations to the other champions, and a really special remembrance for Dino Cortopassi. Dino took a chance on me 10 years ago, and he funded our documentary with Ed Begley Jr., which launched the campaign and the talks with 500,000 people throughout California. And that film was recognized by the UN that year as one of the best environmental films made. And it was because he took a chance on us. He took a chance on me, a community college teacher and a poet by training. So we're honored to be here. Congratulations to Bill Wells and to the other recipients tonight. And also, it's an honor to be here tonight with Eric. Due to some health concerns, I wasn't able to join in celebration of Eric's retirement party. And I want to tell you a quick story about leadership in Eric Vink. During the COVID pandemic, about mid-2020, we were getting calls about people going to bed hungry in Ileton. And we were having the same problems in San Joaquin County. And I didn't know what to do about the Ileton situation, so I called Eric, and Eric didn't bat an eye about what is his job or what wasn't his job. He got on the phone with Sacramento County, and within a matter of days, there were bags of groceries that were being delivered. And it was also during that time, during the pandemic, when we barely held our organization together, that we stopped what we were doing and kind of followed Eric's example about taking care of people. And we would spend our mornings, every morning, on eBay, and we were buying bolts and bolts and bolts of elastic to have 10,000 masks made for people in rescue missions, for the children's home, for nurses, for folks in nursing homes. It became our work for a good 6 months, getting masks made and getting them distributed. And it was also during that time that the switch really flipped for us, that we have to take care of the rivers and the waterways, but we really have to institutionalize things so that we always take care of the people throughout the region. So I'm honored to be here with, these great recipients. And welcome to Bruce in your new role with the Delta Protection Commission. What a nice transition. Thank you. It's also something that we're celebrating a lot these days at Restore the Delta. We stop the twin tunnels, the water wars will rage on forever. But this year, with our young staff, we have finished training and placing, over the 16 years that we've been in business, 92 career professionals in environmental organizations, environmental law, environmental teaching, instruction. Some work for the Water Board, some run other nonprofits. It is phenomenal, the growth that we have seen. And to that end, we're really working on institutionalizing ourselves. Today, I feel so blessed to have with me incredible young people who have worked with us for quite some time now. Mariah Looney, Spencer Fern, our Delta Science Coordinator, who's out there tracking all the science on harmful algal blooms for the state. Artie, our new flood control expert, who is organizing and tracking flood control projects for the Delta. Sarah Medina, who's working on workforce development. How do we get young people connected with Delta agriculture for those future jobs? They're an incredible staff. Cynthia, who's working on a contract from the University of North Carolina on the connection between water pollution and air pollution in the area. And this is where it's really at. It's about building out the future. It's about making sure we have the next generation of Delta protectors ready to go, who understand our systems, understand our way of life, who want to strengthen the connections between the rural Delta and the urban Delta. And also joining us today are two of our young colleagues, Brianna and Nico, who are with Little Manila Rising. And they're actually doing work on training those who are formerly incarcerated to be able to do environmental restoration projects. So I hope you can stop and talk to them and recognize their work, because that is the future, I believe, for the for the region and for the area so that we could keep our work moving forward. We are moving towards really institutionalizing and building out Delta science programs into a center where we have academic institutions working with Delta residents to create programs to protect us with heat and with challenges around drought and around flood. We are continuing to work on our workforce development for agriculture and levee technology. We're working on these connections between water pollution and air quality. We're working on programs for urban stream restoration. You know, it's always great when we get to bring our people out here because the interior of the Delta is so beautiful, and yet our surrounding area, urban areas have been disconnected from their waterways, and we'd like to see that be restored into a cohesive whole so that we work as a healed region with everyone having access to incredible waterways. We are working to strengthen the ties between the beautiful, sustainable agriculture in the interior of the Delta and regional food security. After what we saw happen in 2020, we've kind of made it a secondary goal. We need to restore the river, and we need to make sure nobody goes to bed hungry in the most fertile region in California ever again. So thank you. Thank you for the award, and congratulations to the other recipients. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Stacy Hamilton.
Hello, I'm here to introduce Rio Vision, who is our Delta Innovator. Sorry. Rio Vision is our Delta Innovator, and Tom Sir is here to accept the award for Rio Vision. He's been on the board from the beginning. When I first saw people working in the planters around Rio Vista, I was made aware of how much Rio Vision had done in our community. And it began in 2013, and Rio Vista's got a lot going for it, but not a lot is recognized. We're the gateway on the western end of the Delta. We have sheep and cattle in our backyard and windmills. When you come over 4, you can see all those windmills. That's in Rio Vista's backyard, and then we have the Sacramento River in the front yard. We even get whales that come to visit. But when Rio Vision decided to take up and help Rio Vista, it was in a critical time when our town was floundering, I would say, and needing something to pull people together. We were an old community with many new people coming in new developments, and Rio Vision pulled people together as a community, energized people, and gave a new life to our community, and began a revitalization of the downtown with murals and the planters and art installations that just recently were put in with sheep, painted sheep, like you see in San Francisco, the hearts of San Francisco. We now have the sheep of Rio Vista. So Rio Vision's really done a lot more for the community than just visual. They've also brought our community together, and I am very proud that Rio Vision was chosen as the recipient for this award. And if Tom would like to come up and say a few words about Rio Vision.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you very much. I wanted to also take a moment to thank Monty for this beautiful award. I mean, it's not just an award, it's a beautiful award that we shall most certainly hang in our gallery. And no disrespect to our local artists, this piece will no doubt be the most valuable piece in the whole gallery. I also want to thank Stacy for the nomination. Stacy's here tonight with her family, husband Richard and daughter Josie. Thank you all for being here. You know, this award is a big deal for us. This is really the first formal award that our organization, it's an all-volunteer organization, as Stacy mentioned, we started only in 2013. First award that we received. And to have it occur in such distinguished company of the other champions, plus all of you here, this is really something. So we are very, very grateful for what's happened with this award and all of the work that the foundation does. The Rio Vision began with a project of the AIA, the American Institute of Architects. They sent a team of people from all around the country, architects, planners, traffic people, economists, on and on. Someone else who had received this help from the East Coast, all in a whirlwind effort to have a look at our city, do an analysis, and then write up this amazing report. With us here tonight is the person who actually wrote the application for that. That's Mary Ellen Lamoth and her husband, Howard. Mary Ellen was another of the charter members of the board, and she's the one who actually did that planner project that Stacy mentioned. That was an enormous project, and it really did bring the community together and establish our credibility as an organization in Rio Vista. As you can imagine, Rio Vista is, it's the largest city by population. It's also been in existence from very early, 1859, something like that. And we have many families that go way, way, way back. But we also have a lot of new people who've come to the senior development there with 3,000 houses in it. About half the population of the town lives in this new development. So it was a challenge to help people work together, and we spent a certain amount of time sort of wringing our hands, or how are we going to get people to accept us and this and that. And our answer was, just get to work, just do it. And it really has helped. Working together builds community, and that's been, I think, the key to our success so far. So the AIA came and gave us this amazing blueprint that we've been endeavoring to follow ever since. And so Rio Vision has had a strong beginning, and we have really good leadership. Like I said, it's all volunteer, but I did want to mention some others that are here tonight from our board. We have Donna Nunes, who is also the chair of the Rio Vista Foundation. We have Evelyn Wilson, who is from our Rio Vista branch of F&M Bank. Another connection. Robbie Williams is our communications director, and believe me, the whole communications publicity operation has been really, really important in publicizing our organization and the city of Rio Vista and so forth. Robbie's actually here, the hat she's wearing tonight is the city of Rio Vista, as she is a member of the Rio Vista City Council. One of the things that her operation does, her committee, is to publish this magazine. It's called Discover Rio Vista. We've been putting this out going on 8 years now, I think, right? Since 2014. 3 or 4 times a year, steadily. We haven't missed an edition at all. And this is the one connection that I can point to that goes outside of Rio Vista. We tend to be rather Rio Vista-centric, I have to admit. But we always have articles in this magazine that promote other issues in the Delta, and we have some extra copies here if you want to take one. This one has a story on the wineries, some of the wineries upriver. So do take a moment to look at that one. And so I think that tonight's award and the message that we take is the encouragement from feeling a part of the community that really clearly exists in the whole Delta, the greater Delta. And we take this as encouragement to expand our focus even more, to be more inclusive of just Rio Vista and to really become much more a part of the broader Delta community. So thank you very, very much.
Before I introduce our Lifetime Achievement Award winner, Lifetime Achievement Champion, I want to introduce Mariah Looney, who's also a graduate of the Delta Leadership Program. And she was the valedictorian of their class. So, Mariah. This next introduction is very personal to me. The first time I met Henry Go was in 1962. He was conducting football physicals at Clarksburg High School. He took one look at me and said, "And you're here to save the team?" At 120 pounds, of course, I said yes. Then he asked me to jump up and down 10 times so I could test my heart. He could test my heart. I said, "How high?" And he said, "Don't hit your head on the ceiling." We have been dear friends for the past 60 years. Henry was born in Courtland and delivered by Dr. Raymond Premacine. His father died when he was 4, and he went to live with his uncle Lincoln Chan and his family. During the summers, he worked in the orchards and fields, and I'm sure that is where he developed his respect for many of the patients that he would later serve so loyally. After graduation from Courtland High School, he was off to UC Berkeley. Unfortunately, Henry did not graduate. Actually, he was so smart that he went to UCLA Medical School after 3 years. And now they say, and the rest of the story. After medical school and his residency, Henry returned to his beloved Courtland in 1961 and joined his mentor, Dr. Premacine, as his partner. Over the next 61 years, he has faithfully served his patients, whether they had the ability to pay or not. Henry is a rural family doctor. He would see his patients in his office, in their homes, or in the fields. 2 of his greatest honors have been California Rural Doctor of the Year, awarded by the California Medical Association, and naming of the auditorium in Courtland for Henry Go. Henry's devotion to the Delta, its people and environment, and his family is legendary. There will never be another Henry Go.
And losses. We have in the family lost a son, daughter, and if I'm asked, would I do it all again? The answer is yes. I only have one life to live, and I wouldn't change anything. And I'm gratitude that for me, the American dream did come true. It took a little work. I just want a moment of silence to honor those people that have passed. Thank you very much.
Hi. I'm not supposed to speak. But by God, this is my community. I am Monty Van Camp Condos, artist who grew up on the river. I've got his outboard motor in our storage. Dr. Henry Go. All I know, and Barbara, this is my community. I started skiing in Rio Vista at 16 years old. I have loved this river. I got to marry Gregory Condos, bowed, and all of you, I love you. Michael, thank you for taking on, Eric would not dispose or argue against the two tunnels. And one was on Henry's land and one was Kathy and Doug's land. And I knew both of them originally. And I said, what the hell? We're going to argue against this, and we have. Now we're maybe down to one tunnel, but we're not to the 40 diameter tunnels on your land and Kathy and Doug's. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank Michael. Gregory could not let me be away for a couple of hours a day. And I asked Michael, could you take on the Delta Regional Foundation? I started this to support you and Kathy and Doug. I have grown up skiing, water skiing on this river. I have loved it. And I have loved you, Dr. Go, Barbara, Kathy, Doug, and Michael, who said he would take on the presidency of our Delta Regional Foundation, which I started to oppose the tunnels. Eric couldn't do it. He was the state. But I was employed to do this. And so, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for Michael. Thank you for Michael. Thank you for Dr. Go. Thank you for Barbara. Thank you for Kathy and Doug. Thank you for our community. We love the Delta. And shut up, Monty.
I couldn't have said it better. Henry, Eric, can you come over, right over here? Yeah. Barbara? A great first annual event. Thank you all for being here. Champions, congratulations. See you next year. Thank you.